Richtofen is back, and, as usual, it seems he's planning something evil. But can we do anything to stop it, and just what exactly is he planning? All of these are questions that have been intentionally seeded by Treyarch even before the release of Black Ops 7, and they've continuously reiterated on these questions in just about every opportunity they get with Richtofen. I'm Bob, stepping in once again for TGR with the incredibly busy content schedule we have at the moment. And today, he and I wanted to talk to you about the new version of Edward Richtofen, why we think he's most likely planning a large-scale betrayal, deep dive his character a bit to guess what it could be, and what it could do for the story. All that and more in this video, so stay tuned until the end. So first and foremost, why do we suspect Richtofen? Well, it started before we even got our hands on the game, with the Black Ops 7 Meet the Expanded Team blog. In it, we got a brief rundown of all 8 playable characters, including little bio entries for each character. Let's take a look at Richtofen's. Dr. Edward Richtofen, a brilliant but unhinged scientist and hero of the Reich, finds himself torn from 1945 in a world where the Axis powers triumphed over the Allied nations. Shaped by ambition and tainted by corruption, he masks his innate sadism and considerable ego behind quick wit and a charming smile. He vows that reality itself will ultimately bow to his designs. Most of this is just like any other character's bio, a quick description of their home, their personality, and how they will present themselves. But that last sentence is the unique piece here. He vows that reality itself will ultimately bow to his designs. No other character has something quite like this, but could it really be set up for something so important just hidden in his bio like that? Fans may remember, in Call of Duty World at War Zombies, character bios were added with the original Dries map for the World at War characters, Dempsey, Richtofen, Nikolai, and Takeo. These were all relatively surface-level lore about them, most of which didn't really seem super relevant going forward. A hidden message was discovered within these bios, though. This Easter egg was found far later when Zombies was very popular during Black Ops 3, despite World at War being 7 years old at the time. The discovery was prompted by a hint from Jason Blundell to Mr. Dalek JD, revealing that an Easter egg had always been present in World at War. The character bios, and thus the hidden message, were hidden when the Dries map was released, and up to that point hadn't been found. Thanks to the hint, we found it. By taking the first letter from each sentence across the character bios of Dempsey, Nikolai, Takeo, and Richtofen, the following secret message is revealed. The Doctor wants the ultimate power, bastard. This was of course a hint to Richtofen's grand scheme, but planted as far back as Dries. So it definitely has precedent that this Richtofen could have implications about his grander motivations hidden inside the character bios. So, can we find out any more about him to get an idea about what this might be? Well, one interesting thing of note is Richtofen mentioning his father.
Mein father used one of these to keep his face baby smooth. Would that he had used it on his wrists.
This lets us establish that Richtofen and his father seemingly had a negative relationship. But who exactly might his father be? Well, to identify Richtofen's father potentially, we turn to real history in the same way that the Warden referenced Confederate General Jeb Stuart. The Richtofen surname belongs to the ancient Prussian noble house of von Richthofen, renowned for generations of military service, that produced World War I flying aces like Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, his brother Lothar, and their cousin Wolfram von Richthofen, who commanded the Luftwaffe's 8th Air Corps as a field marshal during World War II. This brings us to Major Albrecht Philipp Karl Julius Freiherr von Richthofen, the father of the real-life Red Baron, a cavalry officer who rose through the ranks of the Prussian army. He embodies the family's martial legacy. Richthofen gets pulled into the dark ether at seemingly around 45 years old while receiving a medal sometime after World War II in his victorious Nazi timeline.
1 minute I am stepping up to receive the Ritterkreuz medal. The next I am in this hellhole, snatched away. Denied the honor of a lifetime.
Whatever. I was sitting on a crapper when it happened to me. Ain't seen a shred of toilet paper since.
Placing his birth circa 1900 to 1905, that timeline would fit the general perfectly. Born in 1859, he would have been about 41 to 46 when his son arrived, a standard age for fatherhood among the aristocracy of the era. The general passed in 1920, leaving ample time for the bitter relationship hinted at in the quote, where Richtofen darkly wishes his father had turned the razor on his wrists instead of his face. Such a figure as Major Albrecht von Richthofen could embody the stern archetype of the Prussian Junker officer. Career soldiers from this noble class prized unyielding discipline, unquestioning obedience to authority, and martial prowess above all else. Fathers like him viewed their sons primarily as heirs to the family legacy of service in the Kaiser's army, molding them from childhood into future officers through rigorous expectations and emotional reserve. Warm affection took a backseat to instilling duty and toughness, often resulting in distant hierarchical relationships where failure invited sharp rebuke. This dynamic would align seamlessly with the era's child-rearing norms among Prussian military aristocracy. Boys entered cadet schools as young as ages 10 to 11, such as the Wahlstatt Academy, enduring Spartan regimes of harsh drills, corporal punishment, and isolation from family to forge unbreakable resolve. Home life mirrored this austerity, with fathers enforcing total compliance and channeling sons towards cavalry regiments from infancy. For a brilliant but rebellious mind like Richtofen, chafing against such iron-fisted control could breed profound bitterness, explaining his morbid wish that the general would slit his wrists rather than merely shave. In the Prussian nobility, the title of Freiherr, Baron, attached to the Richtofen family is hereditary and passes to all legitimate sons, not merely the eldest. The predicate von, likewise, belongs to every member of the line. If Edward Richtofen's father is indeed Major Albrecht von Richtofen, then Edward carries the full legal name and style of Baron Edward von Richtofen from birth. He would therefore not only be the younger brother of the famous Rittmeister Manfred von Richtofen, the Red Baron, but give us a handy way to differentiate him from the other variants by calling him Edward von Richtofen, or Baron Richtofen, or von Richtofen, etc. Well, let's just say he is planning this ultimate betrayal. Then what is it, and why? For that, I think we need to take a step back from where we are right now and look at the larger story as a whole, from a sort of outside the text standpoint, and more from a writing perspective. It seems more likely than ever now, especially with the find of the invitation document to her in Blackwater Lake, that Ava Jansen, just like that document, was likely pulled into the past Dark Ether along with the crews by the Warden. If this is the case, and her story will resolve in Black Ops 7 as we suspect it will, that leaves the story in a very difficult position. We now have the next 30-ish years already locked in with no real space for a game. Once Requiem escape the Dark Ether and end up dying in Urzikstan, there's basically nothing left to happen once Ava disappears, and Treyarch are now going to end up in a 3-year gap once more, leaving us with much longer to wait until their next Zombies experience. Not to mention the fact that it's very clear to both fans and critics of the Cold War era systems of zombies that the design is reaching its logical endpoint. World at War evolved into Black Ops 1, which evolved into Black Ops 2, which was then refined into Black Ops 3. They then had sort of reached the endpoint of that philosophy of design, so they went for a reboot into Black Ops 4, which failed, so they rebooted again into Cold War, and then evolved that into Black Ops 6, learning from Vanguard and MWZ, and then refined that into Black Ops 7. So we find ourselves in a very similar spot. With no place for the story or the design philosophy to go, and a large gap of development time, it seems that a big reboot could likely be in store for zombies after this game. And so, we suspect that Richtofen's ingenious evil plan that we've yet to see could likely be the driving force of that reboot. When he says that he wants reality to bend to his whim, I fear he may get exactly what he wants. We will still see the return of Requiem to the real world, for sure, that has to happen, but who knows what happens in the Dark Ether after. It's worth noting that when MWZ is ending, Ava explicitly calls out that the Dark Ether is separating from our world. At the time, we assumed this was more of a the gateway is closing type thing, but looking back at the entity's death, the world even momentarily goes black and white for a moment when it dies. Could it be that the connection of Ava and the entity was the last thing tethering our universe to the Dark Ether? And with Ava in the past, likely set to become the MWZ entity potentially, and the other entity dead, and all the vials of Ethereum spent, there is now no way to connect the home universe of Requiem back to the Dark Ether, one that now instead connects to many other universes, potentially created by Richtofen's master plan. This could potentially mean any other universe is ruled by this Richtofen, setting up a game where he is the announcer, or maybe he simply returns all their universes and goes home with some reality warping powers, setting up a story set in his timeline. It's hard to say exactly, but I suspect this little hint in his bio is our first clue to a major reboot incoming. So what do you all think? Is Richtofen straight up evil and cooking up the ultimate betrayal like his bio and that classic Doctor wants the ultimate power bastard Easter egg suggest? Could he really be Baron Edward von Richtofen, the Red Baron's little brother, born into that brutal Prussian Junker family with a dad like Major Albrecht who probably beat the rebellion right out of him? And if his plan bends reality to reboot zombies entirely, maybe ruling multiverses or warping back to his Nazi win timeline, what does that mean for Ava, Requiem, and the whole story after BO7? Drop your hottest take in the comments below. I definitely want to hear if you buy the Nepo baby Nazi Bruce Wayne sort of angle we cooked, or if there's another twist you think we're missing. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe for more zombies lore breakdowns, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching.
to conclude this video, I want to shout out the fact that I finally decided to make a Patreon and Cameo account, both of which will be linked below if you want to help support the channel. On Patreon, you can sign up for the lowest tier of just $1.50 a month to get exclusive access for my Discord, where we can discuss zombies lore, trivia, or whatever you desire. A place where you lot, my community, can better connect. Your names will also appear at the end of videos thanking you. For $5.50 a month, you get all of that, and I will be doing exclusive monthly Q&As. And for $16.50 a month, you again get all of that, and I will be doing exclusive lore videos, such as unpacking niche parts of the Treyarch documents I've been breaking down on my channel that don't as much suit a main channel video. For the highest tier, only for those with the ability to and who really want to help out the channel, you get special bonuses I've yet to determine and verbal shoutouts at the end of every video. Over on Cameo, I can do funny videos reading lines from zombies, memes like how do we tell him, birthday wishes for friends or family, or whatever else you desire, practically anything. Of course, none of this is necessary, just watching and enjoying the videos helps me immensely and I greatly appreciate it. However, I think it's about time I start setting up additional revenue streams because Zombies' popularity is tumultuous and always goes through ups and downs. As I'm sure you've lately seen on the channel, viewership is down a lot. We go through big highs when new games release, but then during these drought periods, I need more income stability so I don't have to worry as much about it and I can focus more on improving the quality of the content. My highest quality videos are not always the ones that best please YouTube algorithms, so instead, this way I can produce my best work knowing I don't have to think as much about how well the content's going to perform. So if you'd like to support me on Patreon for exclusive content or would like a simple Cameo message, you can do so to further support me via the links below, but only if you can afford it and you actually want to help me. Don't feel like you are forced to, don't worry, I'll survive. It would just help relieve some of the pressure during inconsistent periods on the channel so I don't have to solely rely on AdSense revenue and still maintain the sheer quantity and quality of content that I put out. Obviously I pump out literally a boatload of content and some of these are absolutely crazy projects over hour-long videos, so it's a lot on my plate, especially when these videos don't perform particularly well. And I've not been doing many sponsorships lately to help supplement revenue either, so it would greatly help. Thank you for any generous person once again who does kindly support the channel. It means the absolute world and will really help keep this boat afloat.